I mean, I think it's certainly true that we have had a lot of heavy kinds of things happening over the past 2.5 months, and especially this last couple of weeks. It's really culminated with the protests, with the death of George Floyd, and with the death of Frankie as well. And it can become very overwhelming for people. I mean, even if you are in the best of mental health, I think heavy news is always really difficult because it's sad and it's hard. And so I think it's really important that people pay attention to that and acknowledge that they too struggle when things are hard like this, and that it's okay. It doesn't make them crazy or unable to cope or anything like that. It just is, it's hard. And so acknowledging that, I think, up front is really important. And then in order to once you've acknowledged that, I think it's really important to focus on yourself and those that you're close to around you. And the way that you can do that is to disconnect from social media, because everybody has an opinion about why things happen the way they do and whether things are true or not true, or what the truth is. And so because we don't have those answers, I think people in their desire to be in control of things want to grab onto stuff and call that truth when in fact it may not be. And so I think social media doesn't really use a lot of filters, and so a lot of information is out there, and some of it's accurate and then some of it is not. And so because of that, and because of the overwhelming sense of everybody's opinions and ideas and thoughts about things, it's a good idea to disconnect from social media as much as possible, and to just focus on trusted news sources that just report facts and information that you can rely on to then give yourself a better sense of control. I think it's really important because of COVID, we have to socially distance, and I think that's responsible to do that. But that doesn't mean, we have to physically distance. It doesn't mean that we have to socially disconnect. And so ways that you can do that are creative and helpful to you, being around people who share your passion for life and the things and activities that you like to do, and who you generally have good relationships with, I think is really important. I think you should avoid people who maybe are not as positive in your life and negative, and just maybe set some boundaries around your interactions with them so that you, feel, again, better and calmer about things as they're going on. It's really important that you get sleep, that you take care of nutrition. We've heard a lot of jokes out there about day drinkers. It's probably not a good idea to use drug or alcohol to help yourself to feel better. That's a very short-lived feeling, and it's not real helpful in the long run. Being involved in healthy relationships, being mindful of your own feelings and the feelings of those who are close to you, so that you can help and be of assistance. Paying it forward, doing something nice for other people. Kindness is always something that makes you feel better, and so when you can be a giver of kindness, I think that's really helpful. But also, if you can be a receiver of kindness, it feels really good to be able to do that. And so the opportunities that present themselves for you to be kind to other people, I think, is important. Pay for somebody's coffee and that's behind you in the line at your favorite coffee place. Buy somebody's meal. Do something that is helpful and kind to other people, I think will help us all go a long ways to feeling better about this craziness in our world. I think it's also important that you keep your environment as safe as possible. Typically, when you see things like the protests and the rioting going on, it's because people are no longer feeling safe, and so they are reacting to the stress of that. And things can get out of hand really quickly. And so, I think it's important to keep yourself safe and keep your family safe. And then just being recognize that other people's experiences are their experiences. And so one of the things that's come to light about George Floyd and his death is the racial inequality that exists. And so just being mindful that people may have historic trauma that they're also trying to deal with, and that everybody's experience is not your experience, nor is your experience theirs. And so being able to acknowledge that, and the best way to do that is to listen and learn, not be afraid to ask questions. I think it's important that if you work with people of color that you stop and ask them, hey, how are you feeling about things? Can you tell me what this all means to you? And try to learn as much as possible about that is also very key. And I think that generally that's hard for people because that's not necessarily how we're socialized. But I always use the old adage of when you're flying on an airplane and they talk about if the cabin loses pressure and the oxygen mask falls and you're traveling with people who need assistance, who should you put the mask on first? And the answer is yourself, because if you don't have the appropriate oxygen, then you can't be of assistance to other people. And it's true in life as well. If you're not in a good place, then you're not in a good place to help those around you either. And so that's why concentrating on yourself and taking care of your needs is really important. And it's important to do that in ways that are healthy. So I'm not suggesting that you barrel through life and say, oh, it's all about me, me, me. But what do I need in order to have more energy and be in a better place to help other people? I think some of the things that I mentioned earlier, if you notice your sleep patterns are off and you're sleeping more or you're sleeping a lot less. If you find you're forgetting to eat meals or you're eating too many meals as a way to kind of self-nurture and care for yourself, then that might be a sign. If you're experiencing kind of anxiety or overwhelming sadness and you can't seem to get out of that funk, then that might be a good sign also that you might need to reach out and talk to other people. I don't know how people are not impacted by what they read and hear and see, and so I would say that probably all of us to some extent are experiencing some heightened levels of anxiety and just emotion, and so being able to acknowledge that and reach out to other people just to check in and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling, and can I just share with you kind of what I'm experiencing? I think you'll find that that's a really common thing, and so people in their commonality can help each other with that. I mean, it feels really overwhelming right now. We have been overwhelmed with things in the past, and we've gotten through those things by putting one foot in front of the other and doing the next right thing. And so I think that we all need to commit to being part of the solution and not part of the problem. And I think we can do that by recognizing that we are going to be impacted by the things we see and hear. And because of that, we are also in survival mode just for ourselves, but there is some truth in the fact that we're all going through this together and we're doing it in different ways, and it's going to have different results for different people. But I think it's really important, again, take care of yourself, pay attention to your physical and emotional needs, put one foot in front of the other, establish a routine as much as possible, listen to as little information as possible, find that trusted news source, find the people that you know for yourself. If I listen to what these folks say, then they're going to steer me in the right direction. We have to trust that our health officials, that our county officials, that people who are in charge and in the know are going to give us the correct information so that we will know what to do with that information and move forward accordingly in a way that's healthy and safe. I have faith that we are going to be okay. And you know, like I said, this country has been through hard things before, and we come out on the other end, and hopefully we come out wiser and stronger. And we're going to make mistakes along the way. I don't think it's anybody's intention to wreak havoc in the world. Nobody likes being in that position. So I think having open, honest conversations, talking about our feelings, it's okay to have feelings and it's okay to talk about them, to trust the people that we've trusted all along, and to be there for us, and to be there for other people. I think if you continue to do that and take care of yourself, that we're going to get through this, and we're going to come out on the other end much different than we were before we started it. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's going to be a lot of good that comes out of this whole situation, and so we just have to have faith that that's what's going to happen. We are accepting new patients or clients all of the time, and so if they are interested in pursuing counseling services, if they'll just call our number 254-297-7100, then we'll be glad to talk to them about helping them out in any way that we can to address their counseling needs.